Welcome into a Wednesday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show, presented as always by Geaux Chevrolet. Remember, the stores are online at GEAUXChevrolet.com. Geaux Chevrolet out in Laplace, Louisiana. If you're looking for a brand new ride, if you want a used car, stop in at Go Express Auto Sales right here in Baton Rouge on the corner of Sherwood Forest and Florida Boulevard. Remember, if you are shopping the inventory over in Laplace, you can get that over to Baton Rouge.
You're going to make it happen, dude.
They can make it happen. They can get the car anywhere you want. They'll come pick you up.
Laplace, they'll sell you something.
Yeah, whether you want to buy that car in Laplace or Laplace, it's up to you.
They'll pick you up.
Go Chevrolet.
Somebody tweeted that to me yesterday.
I saw that. Nick Richard and Lee Carney. Shout out to the crew over there. Appreciate it as always. Our coffee is locally brewed, Majestic Coffee. DeliciousSips.com is where you can pick up your grounds today. And everybody that appears on the phone line, which will be the majority of our guests today. Eddie Smith will stop by. Looking forward to talking to Coach Smith, as some really good news for him personally over the last couple of weeks, as he was named Utah Valley's new head coach. As, of course, Coach Smith is one of the great hitting coaches. He's done it all, really, when you look at his resume as far as recruiting it, coaching it, and now getting an opportunity at Utah Valley University. But before that, LSU is playing for a potential trip to Omaha as they will square off against Tennessee. The Volunteers will be up next for LSU, and we will talk to Coach Smith about that challenge coming up here at 7:30 this morning. At 8 a.m., looking forward to our conversation with brand new hired associate women's head coach for the LSU women's basketball team, Sytia Messer, who has sat alongside Coach Mulkey for the last 12 seasons. And has experienced a ton of success for the last 8 years. She sat next to Coach Mulkey on the Baylor bench and has experienced a ton of success with Coach Mulkey and Baylor. We'll talk to her how they carry it over here to LSU and what some of the immediate work that has to be done to make LSU a contender here in year one under Coach Mulkey. Because I can promise you, a lot like Will Wade came in here a couple of seasons ago and looked at his roster and said, this ain't going to work. We got to be competitive this season. Coach Mulkey's doing the same and putting her group together. Looks like those offices are going to get done, too.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, there's some whispers?
Oh, yeah,
awesome.
no whispers.
There's some rumblings. Full-blown yelling.
The construction is rolling downhill.
What about the practice facility?
Headed straight to you. The practice facility's there, and she loves the facility, but it just needs some upgrades.
A lipstick on that pig.
Yeah, right.
Surely they're going to do that.
35 years old, need a little Botox.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
John Saul Spiller.
Call
Yes,
Dr.
indeed.
Spillers for
That's
that.
exactly right. But, weight room.
Yeah.
Weight room and offices are the two top-line things that they need to get accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Wade's been pushing that for the last couple of seasons, and here comes Coach Mulkey and just kind of kicks it in the ass.
Yeah, adds another general to the Army.
But look, and she's done, she's brought in her own funds. I mean, she's been a fundraiser.
Yeah.
People are calling TAF to help out. They want to be a part of what she's got going on.
We need a pillow of Mulkey now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just like this.
100%.
It's all we're going to have at some point. It's just going to be a
Just
room full of
pillows.
pillows.
It's just
It's going to be like an Indian
and tons of
restaurant.
pillows.
Yeah.
I've always said I wanted one of those rooms like Hefner had, where you step down into like the mattress.
Yes.
And into the entire thing was cushions and sofa, where everybody just kind of invited you to kick your
go
shoes
with
up.
that?
Maybe an HR problem at a business.
Might be.
Movie night.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Movie
Team
night.
building.
Team building.
Team building.
Pick a mattress.
That's right.
Grab a robe.
Everybody stay in your corner.
Don't look at me.
Shea Dixon has been confirmed here on the Jordy Culotta Show.
Has he?
He has been. His callback yesterday after the voicemail was classic. He said he had gotten a text from Katie.
Yeah.
Wanting to know if he had seen the bit. He had slept through after a couple of he had some vacation last week.
He turned his phone off, he said, while
Turned
he
his
was on
phone
vac
off
day.
after committing to a couple of interviews. So we'll bust his balls when he gets here at 8:15. But moreover, we will talk recruiting, as it is front and center right now.
Well, it wouldn't have been a big deal if he had not been the one to set the time and date. That's
Agreed.
the real issue. That's why you
Agreed.
get the double call.
Agreed.
We wouldn't heckle you if
Right.
if we had tried to do it.
Right.
But it's him saying, Sunday I'll be there on Tuesday.
I know.
Like, all right, Shay, we'll see.
That's the best part about it.
I mean,
Nothing like a Sunday plan.
show up whenever you want, man.
Yeah, doors open.
But Shay will be here at 8:15, and then your food questions with the chef, who is back in South Louisiana. We'll be here at 8:30 this morning. So hop inside of the bunker. Hashtag Ask the Chef. Ask JPB. And we will get him his questions asked to him at 8:30 this morning, as the chef is here every Wednesday. Remember, our show is brought to you by Geaux Chevrolet, Geaux Chevrolet.com. So lots to get to over the next 2 hours. We appreciate your interaction. Like, share, talk about the show. We always appreciate you guys and ladies out there talking about us on the streets, as we've gotten some great feedback. The social media, Jack and Noah, Katie, with the live tweeting, has really done a nice job and gotten us some exposure here over the last couple of days. So we like seeing that. We like seeing the Jordy Culotta show out there, and we appreciate everybody who has a part in that and your interaction daily. So if you got food questions, jump inside of the bunker at 8:30. You sound worse today.
I know.
Well, she didn't know. There we go.
Was that the lack of cough drops? I went to dinner last night. My mom was letting me hear about it.
About the cough drops?
Yeah, about
Everyone's
the cough
talking
drops.
about the damn cough
It
drops.
was, I did see that you showed up with
A couple more?
Yeah.
She
I
did.
did.
What are you-
I'm keeping them in my car.
you
Sophie's like, you're
baiting me?
so crazy. Why do you have them next to you all the time? I'm like, I mean, people take them. Like,
Apparently they taste good.
Hey, look, who's that?
I know.
Kenny stays strapped with the cough drops. Dude, watch out.
I know.
So what's the deal, man? How you feeling? What's going on?
I
with you?
feel fine. I'm almost to the end of a Z-Pack. I don't know. This thing just hung on.
Yeah.
But it's all right. It's going around.
COVID free?
Yes, I'm COVID free. I
Oh,
did
so
take
yeah,
a
that
COVID
old
test.
the Florida flu.
I did take a COVID test.
Maybe Vishal.
I know.
Call him.
You could call old
Vishal
Vishal.
Visanji. All right, it looks like this college football playoff expansion thing is going to happen. I mean, we kind of lightly touched on this with Dellinger yesterday. We missed the. We kind of buried the lead.
We did, and he
buried the lead and then lost it.
Yes, he had some nuggets in there that he was dropping, trying to get us there.
Yeah.
and we just weren't
We
picking
couldn't
up
pick
the
it up.
hits.
We
Yeah,
couldn't
I
pick
was
it
like,
up.
wait, did we talk about that?
No, I mean, not enough. We were making
Call
fun of the
him again.
motorcycles in the background.
No.
did we drink
I was
coffee on the
thinking
porch?
back, like, did I
just-
zone out that much?
We did. We were.
But it looks like this thing is going to expand and get to a 12-team playoff at some point. Not imminent right now on this season, but expansion has long been talked about, and it looks like over the last 2 years there has been a committee put together in which this has been their sole task of finding out how this happens. How do you make this logistically work?
Well, what do you mean? Like, dumb it down for me a little bit and go back. What are they expanding?
So
The number of teams?
The playoff, yes. So the playoff number of teams that get in right now, it is 4. And there is a formula, but there's not a formula. There's still the human element that you have people in a closed room talking about who makes the most sense. And in doing that, where you don't have a concrete criteria of, hey, if you win your conference, you're in, right? If there's
Yeah.
only 4 teams and you've got +4 conferences, somebody's going to be left out. And last season, the team that was outside looking in, the 5th team left out was Texas A&M, an SEC team. And I've got news for college football. If you think that the SEC bias is bad now, expand this playoff to 12 teams, and what are you going to do when 8 of them are SEC teams, and then the entire Final Four is nothing but the SEC championship, nothing but the SEC tournament, which I'm for.
Get
You
me
know what I
in.
mean? Like, I'm all up for watching good college football. If you can find good competitive football, I would have liked to have seen Texas A&M have an opportunity to get in there last year. But if this is always going to be the conversation of how you expand it, how you do more, and how you get more teams in, what are you doing to the regular season in college football, which in its golden age, college football, when it really blew up over the last 15 years, it was those Saturdays in October. It was those Saturdays in November. It was those once every couple of years big-time matchups in early September, LSU, Texas, 2019, on September 2nd or whatever it was, early September, where you've got two top 10 teams on the field together. What do you do to those events in the more that you expand this college football playoff? Do you water down the regular season, or does it make it
Well, why would it? Like, why? How many
because
teams?
they act like de facto playoff games almost. Like even that early in the year, you feel like if you lose that first game of the year, if LSU loses to Texas, it feels like your season's already on the line.
Yeah.
Because you cannot lose another game after that happens. If Texas beats LSU, there's no telling where their season trajectory goes after 2019. But that's what makes the regular season in college football the best in sports, because every game is essentially a playoff game. Like, you're in your own little bracket. If you're one of those top-tier teams, you can't afford to lose an early season game or even more than one game at any point, really.
So how will the expansion change that?
Because it allows more teams to get in, because if you lose, you're still allowed to get in. You're fighting for those 4 seeds.
Yeah.
So if there's 12, you can lose 1 or 2 games. You don't really care that much if you drop an early one or drop a conference game, because, like, we can still get a bid because of our strength of schedule.
And then you'll start seeing teams that have secured one of those 12 spots late in the season, say, for instance, not play a Max Johnson.
Right.
Sit a guy like that when your playoff spot is already secure, so you're not going to risk putting Johnson out there in a meaningless regular season game.
Yeah.
And so that in itself is going to water down the product.
Right.
Right? I mean, when you're taking some of the primary players off of the field, and I'm not saying that that's going to happen habitually, but, I mean, that's potentially going to be an issue that arises where, a team starts out the gate 9-10-0, and it's got a couple of, snoozers at the back end of the schedule.
Yeah, he plays a quarter, plays a half, and you get him out of there.
You get him out of there, and you sit him down, and, you just get ready for the playoff.
Yeah, you lose the Joe Burrow versus Texas A&M experience because you have to win that game. But if we go in and, we can afford to lose a game or anything like that, and you're up 40-0, you don't have all the pageantry that surrounds it.
So it's going from 4 to 12?
That to me is a big jump.
Lot,
that's
right?
the number, right? And I don't know if there's 12 teams in college football every year that's
I know
have a chance to win a championship. I mean, we can expand it all we want, but I guarantee you the last 4 standing are going to be Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia, LSU, a rotation of some other team out there, but it's going to be the usual suspects.
Right, you're not getting rid of any of the teams that I guess is essentially the point of the playoff, to try to get more teams in.
Yeah.
So you hope for an upset. But those 4 the blue bloods that are in there every year that they complain about, they're not going anywhere because Clemson doesn't play anybody.
Right.
So they don't have to worry about it. They're always in the playoffs. So if you give them an opportunity to be a 12 seed,
right,
they can lose 3 games and it doesn't matter because they're going to get in. But
this will be for next season, right? Possibly.
Yes.
2022.
2 seasons from now. Yeah, the contract's up.
Yeah, the contract's up in 2 years.
Okay.
And let me say that I love 4. I think
that's just a number.
I think 4 is enough. You know what I mean? I think 4 really is when, I think that I'm probably, if you're listening to this, I've been pretty contradictory if you're, listening when I said about Texas A&M 5 minutes ago to what I'm saying now. But I think once you begin and open up this expansion, not discussion, because I think it'll always be there, but expansion activity where you really start to open it up and talk about more teams. Well, before you know it, you could be at 36.
Right, then you're just going to make it the NCAA tournament.
You're just going to make it the NCAA basketball tournament.
Yeah, that would be crazy.
But
now, 12 is a lot.
12 is a lot.
I could be behind 6 even. Like, if you wanted to expand it, I could see 6, so you could get, like, the at-large bid, and then there's the Cinderella.
Maybe 8.
But 12 is just, we're going to have Notre Dame in every year, kick the living shit out of them, let them go back home. Like, that's just what it's going to be. It's all these fringe teams that want to get in that aren't good enough.
Yeah.
Eventually, like, water finds its
my
level.
Team might get in.
Yeah, you get, like, a Mississippi State pop.
Totally.
Yes.
I think they would at this point. If it were 12, for
and
sure.
Mississippi State would make a lot of sense because they would come with, like, behind closed doors. The human element would say, hey, Mike Leach is going to bring some eyeballs.
Yeah.
He's going to be interesting.
Right.
You know what I mean? A lot of people will be talking about that game in the buildup.
Yeah.
Let's put him in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's the problem and the advantage, however you want to look at it, of having the human element within this thing, rather than just saying, look, here's the criteria. Here's what you have to do. You have to win your conference. You can't lose an out-of-conference game, whatever it is. Whatever the stipulations and guidelines are written out to be. But when you have a human element to it, it's much more of a...
you're going to draw in a lot more viewers.
You'll draw in a lot more viewers, but it leaves the mind open for controversy, for conspiracy, for all those types of things that come with the sport, which college football has always been cloaked in.
Oh, yes.
Always been. I mean, they've always been the sport that cannot figure out how to name their national champion.
I mean, we were doing it with a computer for as long as from 98 to 2010,
And
2012.
before that, they were just playing these bowl games, and they would say, hey, look, Penn State looked the best at the end of the year. They're the national champ.
Nobody's playing each other head to head to
Colorado,
figure it out.
Colorado had the best record. They looked the best this season. They're the national champ. I mean, there was never a really direct formula of putting the two best teams together. I mean, even the BCS, for as good a games as it produced, it was never a perfect exact
System.
Yeah, I mean, equation. I was just going
to say, I think the point of this playoff is probably they're trying to hit the major markets again. USC is not a factor. They want to get California back involved into major college football. Florida State's not involved anymore. Miami. They want to get these pockets where college football is popular, but they're not good enough to get into a 14 playoff. So they're trying to, I guess it's all about revenue.
You can do that, but the more teams that you allow in, the more of the better teams are going to rise to the top. The cream's always going to find the top. The elite's always going to find the front. All the stuff, the top 1% is always going to get there, right? And the top 1% resides in the Southeastern Conference right now. So you can try to expand the number and expand the geographical footprint if you want. But if you give them 12 teams, 8 of them are going to be from the SEC.
For sure.
If you give them 8 teams, 6 of them are going to be from the SEC. And if there's a human element involved in it, there's no way people are going to be behind closed doors debating whose team is better and more challenged coming out of an SEC schedule compared to anybody, compared to anyone. And so, you know, like I said, if you want to do that, I think it opens up more exposure for the Southeastern Conference. They just stroked a check for $23 million a school for what they missed in COVID. The conference is in great shape.
Yeah, you think?
College football is the one that's cutting those checks. I mean, you want to give them more exposure? You want to give them more seats at the table of a national championship opportunity? Greg Sankey standing first in line saying, yeah, it sounds like a great idea. I'm in.
A great idea.
I mean,
Georgia's in now. LSU's in every year.
Texas A&M.
In.
Yeah, I mean, Arkansas might be putting it together up there with Sam Pittman. You know, I mean, you look around, you got 2 dominant coaches in Mississippi, Lane Kiffin and Mike Leach. I mean, Dan Mullen at Florida. I mean, think about that. I mean, where are there teams outside of this conference that you really say, yeah, I'd like to see them? Maybe USC's coming back, but I mean, realistically, you want to see them head-to-head with Ole Miss or Auburn or Georgia or LSU? Beat the brakes off of USC.
Well, that's what I'm going to say. If they want this playoff, and that's the reason they want to do it, to expand it, get these other teams in, you're just going to realize how far behind every other conference is from the SEC.
Exactly right.
We're playing pro ball down
That's
here.
exactly right.
Like, you're going to come stumble into a matchup in Jerry's world against a rabid 80,000 people, even if it's Arkansas.
Yeah.
You're like, these people are nuts.
I think it's just it's the LSU UCLA game. People are asking me, like, starting to talk about it. People are asking me, like, what are your thoughts? I think it's going to be a pretty good game. I think that this is Chip Kelly's best team that he's had since he's been at UCLA. But on the lines of scrimmage, those cats have no idea what they're going to do when Ali Gay gets his hands on them.
When they see him.
Or when Jaquelin Roy stands one of them straight up and pushes them 6 yards into the backfield, because he's just built different. It's a different type of strength, and it's a different type of mentality. I mean, if you looked at what Saban was telling Le'Veon Moss on, you know, Le'Veon Moss is the Baton Rouge running back from Estruma, and reading some of Moss's quotes to Bama's 24/7 site over there. I mean, Saban and Pete Golding, the primary recruiter on Moss, who's a Louisiana guy, were pleading with Moss about jumping aboard and taking the scholarship commitment because they wanted a Louisiana kid, that type of dog mentality. They needed that on the roster. They needed their next Devonta Smith. They needed their next Dylan Moses, Landon Collins. They needed that next guy that had that Louisiana mentality that the best college football in the game recognizes. They're just built different. And that's, to me, a microcosm of the Southeastern Conference compared to the rest of college football. It's just, I know that that's their saying, where it just means more, but it's just different down at this part of the world in the way and the speed and the strength and the size and the intensity around the sport. So you can expand it all you want, but all you're going to do is open up the footprint to more of a reach for the Southeastern Conference.
I will say this: if they take a playoff game, like the first game of the 12 team, they do it at like a regional almost, like you have a playoff game in Death Valley. That I would be for.
No.
Just let me do it for a year. Let that thing pop off.
Absolutely.
Like there's benefits to it, but like you said, it's just going to end up being the 4 that you think it is. But
Sure.
I see the expansion. I see that. But if that's what they want to do, if they were to bring like a little college football playoff atmosphere to like different parts of the country, depending on where you're seated, I think that would be very fun.
Elevate Treatment Center, Treatment and Legacy Center brings you the Jordy Culotta Show every single day. Remember, if you're battling with drug and alcohol, they can help you out with rehab right here in Baton Rouge. Get in touch with them online at Elevate Treatment, ELV8, ELEV, the number 8, treatment.com, ELEV8, the number 8, treatment.com to get in touch with Elevate Treatment and Legacy Center. They can help you out today. You can start that treatment online. They are dedicated to treating patients who are battling drug and alcohol addiction. Get in touch with them online at elevatetreatment.com. We're going to talk to Eddie Smith here in a couple of minutes, and I don't know if people were talking about this or saw this, but One Team, One Podcast, who has been all over this coaching search and this coaching discussion for LSU baseball, and a lot of the things that they talked about over there on that site within months of this decision being made is coming to light. And yesterday it was reported over at One Team, One Podcast that the board of directors at LSU shot down the recommendation to hire Kevin O'Sullivan, the University of Florida's head baseball coach, who it seemed like when this move was set to be made and that once it became evident that Paul Mainieri was going to step aside after this year, it seemed like O'Sullivan was the top target. And not only by the LSU administration, but from around a lot of the big money boosters around LSU. That seems to have hit the skids yesterday in the board of directors shooting that down, and O'Sullivan was reported to address his team at Florida yesterday and telling them that he was staying in Gainesville. So what that means for this LSU baseball hire. Also, some news on the coaching front. Jim Schlossnagle, who spent the last 18 seasons at TCU building a very respectable and competitive program, has accepted the Texas A&M job overnight. So Schlossnagle makes his move, and O'Sullivan, by all accounts, our friends over there at One Team, One Podcast reported yesterday, and I believe it, and some of the follow-ups that I've made, it seems to be dead on, which they have been the entire time here, is that O'Sullivan is out and they are moving on. What that means and who is next, I've heard a couple of names, Mike Bianco being one, Cliff Godwin being another one, who Hunt Palmer touched on and talked about on Tuesday.
Hannah Griff dropped a little nugget on the Twitter yesterday
about
coaching search. He said somebody asked him, he's like, I'm going to ask the most. He tweeted you and Hannah Griff, and Hannah Griff was like, I believe he's still in the SEC tournament as the next head coach is. So that leaves the door open for a couple of options, Bianco, Vitello.
Would Bianca's kid still be here?
He would be next year.
Yep.
Because I thought that was a thing with them. Like, I thought they couldn't play.
Yeah, but senior year.
That's a homegrown rule that they make. If Mike Bianco has the LSU head baseball coaching offer on his desk, he's not turning it down because it's a chance to coach his son. I mean, because of some family rule that they have. That's the ultimate crown jewel in the sport. And for a guy like Bianco, who played here, was mentored under Skip Bertman, and looks at the LSU job as royalty.
Right. Yeah, it makes sense. I just knew about the family rule.
He
so
would
I
run
wondered.
here. You know what I mean? He would run from Oxford.
And I think Bianco's proven himself to the point where he doesn't really have to worry about throwing him out there. So it wouldn't be any nepotism in terms of putting Bianco out there because he's been a stud.
That's true.
I mean, good God, play the kid.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, if there's anything,
what are we doing here?
Yeah, right. I mean, get his dad the job. I mean, at least he won't take him off the field. I mean, this guy's got to play.
Is there a younger one too? Younger Bianco
Yeah,
kid?
he's at UL.
Okay.
He's playing for the Raging Cajuns.
Okay.
Portal.
And he's a stud.
I know, that's what I was wondering. Yeah.
But I'm sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure something like that would happen.
Yeah.
Let's talk to Eddie Smith here in a couple of minutes. We will not ask him who he thinks is next as the LSU head baseball
He's good.
coach.
He's got a
that
job.
Would be awkward. That would be awkward. But we will talk to Ed about Bianco. We'll also talk to the coach about the confidence of this team coming off of 4 straight games with their back against the wall and answering the bell every single time, keeping their season alive, keeping Mainieri's season and career alive as they go into Knoxville. How different of an LSU baseball team is this than the one that left Knoxville in late March? We will ask Coach Eddie Smith, who's the hitting coach of the LSU Tigers, right here next on the Jordy Culotta Show, presented every day by Geaux Chevrolet. Are you self-employed? Then you need to learn about Angel Oak's Home Loans Bank Statement program that they're offering, which makes you eligible as a self-employed borrower to purchase or refinance a home without requiring a tax return. If you want to learn more, get in touch with me. Email me, jordy@jordyculotta.show.com, to learn about the bank statement loan program offered by Angel Oak. jordy@jordyculotta.show.com to learn more. Gearing up for spring and summer down here in South Louisiana, and you want to keep your lawn maintained during these sunny seasons, get in touch with our friend Blake Abear over at Abear's Lawn Maintenance, where he says, you grow it, I mow it. 225-485-8022. 225-485-8022 is where you can find Abear's Lawn and Maintenance, the official lawn and maintenance company of the undisclosed location. Geaux Chevrolet is proud to announce Go Express Auto Sales, the new used car lot located in the capital city of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Go Express Auto Sales is online at goexpressautosales.com, or you can search them on Facebook and social media at Go Express Auto Sales, the newest addition to the family of Geaux Chevrolet. Remember, Geaux Chevrolet is located down in LaPlace, Louisiana, but now welcoming aboard Go Express, the new used car lot located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Are you self-employed? Then you need to learn about Angel Oak's Home Loans Bank Statement program that they're offering, which makes you eligible as a self-employed borrower to purchase or refinance a home without requiring a tax return. If you want to learn more, get in touch with me. Email me, jordy@jordyculotta.show.com, to learn about the bank statement loan program offered by Angel Oak. jordy@jordyculotta.show.com to learn more. Welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, live on this Wednesday. Remember, get your food questions inside of the bunker, our chat app, as we have Chef Jean-Paul Bourgeois coming up here every Wednesday, 8:30, answering your food questions. Coming up next, looking forward to our next conversation as LSU Baseball. We said going into that Eugene Regional, probably the team when you looked at the 4 you didn't want to match up against. just because they were.
I would say Oregon was nervous when they got that draw.
A lot like our football discussion that we just had. I mean, different mentality down here in the South when you talk about baseball players and the sport and going up there and having that chance. LSU looked very comfortable in that setting, in that environment, with their backs up against the wall.
Embrace it.
They did, and they had guys bust out, whether it was Gavin Dugas or Dylan Cruz slamming the ball. We mentioned Drew Bianco really smashing it last weekend. And Coach Eddie Smith had some positive news going into the tournament as he was named Utah Valley University's new head baseball coach. School announced that late last week. And Coach Smith, of course, finishing out his tenure here at LSU before he moves on to Utah Valley. Joins us here on this Wednesday morning. Good morning, Coach. Congratulations.
Thank you, Jordy. I appreciate it. Fired up to be on the air this morning with you.
Absolutely. Good to have you back. Got to feel right about your team coming out of that experience. Before we talk about what they did, what did you feel about the draw? How did you feel about your guys going in to Eugene last Friday?
Well, we were excited. I think anytime you get an opportunity to play in the postseason, and I know that is certainly the expectation at minimum here at LSU, but there's a lot of teams in the country that don't get that opportunity. So there's a lot of excitement. You see that you go to Eugene. For me personally, that's the Northwest is home, has tons of family. I think it was 23 total tickets for family that had to leave and got to leave. And, I think a change of setting going over to the West Coast, an SEC team, I think that we got to, go onto the field and know that we had played through an SEC schedule. Not only do we know that, I think the opponents that we played knew that, and they knew that we knew that. And so I think that it was a great draw for us, and we were excited to get out there.
And then your high end guy, your top end guys, Dylan Cruz comes out and he is just mashing the ball, and that kind of shows that it's contagious. What did you make of the way that you guys hit the ball? I guess outside of Friday night, you really were consistent all weekend.
Yeah, it was unique. You faced a guy on Friday night who is just a completely different look. He absolutely shut us down. Tip your hat to him. Frustrating for sure, but you also don't accidentally fall into becoming an All-American, which is what Alex Jacob was, and sure. Frustrating, disappointing, but we talk about it all the time. How are we going to respond? And I think you look at the response over the next 4 games, faced some good arms there as well, and took care of business and some huge at-bats all the way along the way. And I think one thing that was great about it is you saw great contributions 1 through 9 through the order. And, that's what championship teams do.
Gavin Dugas this weekend, Coach, surprising to you or expected at this point because of the way that he's managed this season?
I don't think that there's anything Gavin does that surprises me. I think that, another phenomenal weekend, a lot of hits, a lot of extra base hits. I think that, Gavin Dugas has a little bit of that killer instinct. Mm-hmm. You saw that killer instinct that maybe you saw on The Last Dance documentary about Michael Jordan. Gavin has that inside him. And so I think that, maybe one of the best things that happened this weekend for our team is when he hits a ball that goes off the wall and he gets to home plate on it, and it's called a triple and scored on an air. He then went on to go hit 2 more home runs against, Oregon there in the championship series. And, he had a double after that as well, a huge walk that started the 8th inning rally there in Game 7. I don't think that was an accident. Knowing Gavin, knowing his killer instinct, he's got that extra gear. And I think that rolling of, triple and scored on the air might have been that extra fire for him. So that was great to see out of Gavin.
I know we've talked to you about Cruz before, but when he's swinging the bat like he did this weekend, and I know he didn't close the weekend like he started, but he still batted 500 for the stretch. What does that do for your lineup? What does that do for the rest of the squad when he's seeing it and hitting it like that?
Oh, he's just a difference maker. And I think it changes the whole dynamic of the game. I think he's the guy that, when you're in the other dugout facing a guy like that, he's always looming on your mind. Hey, if this 7-hitter gets on, that means we have to face Cruz this inning. Or, hey, Cruz is going to lead off to start the game. He might punch us right in the face to set the tone. And then when you have guys like Morgan and Arnold and Dugas having the series that they had, there's protection for them. And so it's kind of a pick your poison type of mentality. And, what Dylan's able to do for us it's remarkable.
Coach Eddie Smith, LSU hitting coach, joining us here on the Jordy Culotta Show, presented every day by Geaux Chevrolet. We were talking about Drew Bianco, Coach, and we talked about him yesterday with a couple of former players who related to him and his mentality. But another one who it seems like when he's in the lineup, when he's in the field, that he has this quiet leadership to him that feeds into the rest of the group. As his coach and one of his leaders, what does he bring to the team?
He brings an X factor to the team. You see a guy who can start a game at second base and then go play in center field and play it at a very high level. He's always a threat to hit the ball out of the ballpark. He's a threat to lay down a bunt for a hit. He's a threat to steal a base. It's just an X factor. And you add that to just an energy about him where I think he keeps the guys loose in the dugout. I think he's a fun personality. And I do think he's a little piece of this engine that really is a spark and makes it go. And certainly a fun guy to be around.
Coach, was there or is there a different strategy when playing on an all-turf field?
I don't think there's a ton of difference in strategy. I do think that for the most part it will make defensive play for infielders easier. And so I don't think that there's a whole lot to change strategy-wise from that. I do just know that the game does play a little bit different. But, when the wind's blowing out and the air is thin enough with the temperatures being warm enough like they were in Eugene this weekend, I think it's pretty fair. I think with the turf field, if you have the wind blowing in and or cold days, all of a sudden it becomes really tough to get hits and you start feeling mentally like, holy cow, how are we ever going to score a run? But I think we were fortunate, with having it be warm enough that you didn't have those feelings as a coach or a hitter.
Right.
Coach, with both you and Paul Mainieri announcing that it's your last time at LSU, do you think that there's been a feeling of the team to kind of let it all hang out a little bit? Like, we don't really have anything to lose. Let's go win one for both our guys here.
Well, I think that, come baseball, come postseason baseball, there's, almost always that feeling among underdogs. And I know it's not usual for LSU to be an underdog this time of year, but I think that all season long, I think there's been an understanding in our locker room that we've got the pieces. It's how do those pieces fit together? And, for a weekend, I think they really were pieced together well. And players made plays, pitchers made pitches. And, I know that there's some extra motivation for the guys to go send coach out on top. It's something where I think he means a lot to all of us. And there's a huge respect for what he's done in this game. And, definitely a little extra motivation there to make sure Coach Mainieri goes out a champion. And, that's a fun part of this ride.
Has y'all's mentality changed at all as coaches, knowing that it feels like it's a little bit looser in terms of, like, you're not so much coaching them in terms of, like, I need the respect of I'm going to be here next year. I have to be absolutely on top of the guys, because it seems like it's almost we're all working together, like, all on the same level. Is that a fair assumption?
Yeah, I think that's a fair assumption. And, my feeling and my understanding is that I think that's a point that almost every team gets to this time of year. As a coach, you try to build that foundation, you shape that foundation, you push, you scratch, you claw, you do all those things so that at this point in the season, the players can take over. Because, I think at this point in the season, whether you want them to or not, the players are going to be the ones that are going to be leading the pack. They're going to be going where they want to go. And so I think we're at that point now where we're all in the trenches. We all know what we want to do. Now, hey, let's go out there, let it rip, and make it happen.
Two-parter here on this Tennessee question. How different is your squad, is you and Coach Mainieri's squad heading into Knoxville than when you left in late March? And what are the challenges that the Volunteers present?
Well, Jordy, we talked about it, and I know this got you all excited. 1% better, 1% better. It's what we've talked about as hitters since October. 1% a day in baseball, I mean, those are invisible margins. You don't see that. It's something that just gradually comes. And that was such a big thing for this group because we are so young and inexperienced. We just need to keep that vision of getting a little bit better every day. So I think that the team that you're seeing right now is completely different than the team that you saw in March. In March, that was the first SEC weekend for 14 of the 15 position players who had traveled on the road. Now, obviously, we've got 5 SEC weekends under our belt. We have an SEC tournament under our belt. We have an NCAA regional under our belt, all on the road. And, those experiences, they'll weather you, they'll toughen you, they'll harden you, and they'll get you a lot of, confidence under your belt when you have success at them. And I think you're starting to see that come. And so I think there's a ton of difference. There's a ton of differences. And I think it's important to remember 3 losses on the sweep, 4 total runs of run differential, 2 walk-offs in extra innings. The margins are so small. And so, hey, hopefully that 1% better is going to serve us well this weekend. Tennessee's fantastic. We talked about it with Alex Jacobs at Gonzaga, you don't accidentally fall into being an All-American. You don't accidentally fall into being, the national seed that Tennessee is. And a really good team. They throw strikes. They put great at-bats together. But you know what? I think we have a really good team. And really excited to see how that goes this weekend.
Coach Eddie Smith joining us here on the Jordy Culotta Show, live here on YouTube, Facebook, and, of course, on JordyCulottaShow.com. Coach, you've done it all in baseball when you talk about coaching. You've been a recruiter. You've been a head coach for 4 seasons. I don't know if people know this, but you were at Lower Columbia College for 4 years prior to joining Tulane's staff, and you won championships there. Now in getting your own program, and I know that you have work to do in your current role before you get there, but what are the challenges, or what do you look forward to most in building your own program and going over to Utah Valley?
Well, I'm thrilled. It's something that professionally I've wanted to be a Division I head coach since I was 22 years old and started coaching. That's kind of been a vision. So this opportunity is kind of fulfilling of that. There's a lot of excitement about the place at Utah Valley. Beautiful stadium. It was a shared minor league ballpark for years. The minor league team has moved out, but it's 2,500 chair-back seats. You have the Rocky Mountains in the background as part of the batter's eye and the panoramic view. Beautiful part of the world. And I think it's something where there's a lot in the foundation to be excited about. Now, there's some challenges for sure. Utah Valley actually came to the Baton Rouge Regional in 2016. Wow. There's some recent history, but there's also some recent challenges. Since 2016, Utah Valley has not won 30% of their games. They've won less than 30% of their games. So we've got a lot of work to do. But for me, that's the exciting part, is that here we have this canvas and it's ready to be painted. And, the work to be done, hiring a staff, going and finding players who fit what we're trying to do, and make that work day by day. That excites me, and really excited about the road to come ahead. But certainly all eyes on the volunteers before that begins.
Absolutely. It's been awesome watching you work and watching the guys respond and getting to know you over the last couple of seasons. We'll definitely be pulling for you over at Utah Valley. You guys expecting a hostile environment this weekend in Knoxville?
Well, thanks, first of all. And you all have been a pleasure to work with from day one here in Baton Rouge. And, it's SEC baseball. It's super regional, a trip to Omaha on the line. That's the way you want it. I know that in 2009 we had the opportunity to go to Ole Miss for a super regional when I was at Virginia. And, I just remember a quote at the time that, the only thing better than going on the road and playing in front of a huge crowd is going on the road and playing in front of a huge crowd that's silent. And, it's something where, wouldn't that be amazing if we're able to go out there and take care of business and, have a celebration, just something that I think our players all dream of.
Last one, Coach. I'll get you out of here. Appreciate your time and preparation. Can you give us perspective on how good the baseball was this year in the conference?
Oh, gosh. I think that just between the natural talent pool and some of the adjustments with rosters because of COVID, whether that was talent that showed up on campus because they were freshmen and projected to go in the draft and they didn't because of a shortened draft, or they were seniors, fourth-year guys, and even fifth-year guys. If you look at Kevin Kopps from Arkansas, who, they're probably draft picks, and they ended up on campus. It was fantastic. It was phenomenal. I think we'll be turning on the TV 5 years from now, and it'll be an SEC all-conference type outing when you turn on Baseball Tonight watching Major League highlights. And that's an exciting thing. I think that we'll all be able to look back at this season and kind of smile and say, wow, what a year 2021 was in the SEC. So pretty awesome stuff.
Eddie Smith, newly named head coach of Utah Valley State, but still work to do as LSU's hitting coach as the Tigers play for a chance to get to Omaha this weekend for a best-of-3 game set in Knoxville between LSU and Tennessee. Winner going to Omaha, where they shot for a national championship. Go kick ass, Coach. Congratulations again. Thank you, as always, for your time.
Jordy, thank you very much. You all take care.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
There is Coach Eddie Smith checking in this morning as LSU gets prepared for a road trip to Tennessee. Daily here on the Jordy Culotta Show. We're brought to you by Falaya Real Estate. Get in touch with my friend Barrett Blondo if you want to learn how you can sell your house this spring, this summer, yourself, and make all the money, man. It is sold. If you want more information, visit them online at falaya.com. You can easily download the app inside of your Apple, your Android stores. But check out Falaya. Barrett Blondo, a good friend of mine over there. You can get in touch with him directly, 225-939-6153 or online, falaya.com. If you like doing things yourself, if you want to save some cash, you got to check out Falaya Real Estate. It's do-it-yourself for selling your house. If you want more information, get online at falaya.com. Good stuff from Coach Eddie Smith. We will check in here with Shea Dixon. Sent the text over this morning. Not feeling good.
No.
Yes.
Son of a bitch.
Yes. And I think he's going back to sleep.
Oh, no.
Hit me with the 7:33. Zero chance I can drive over, and definitely don't need to. Probably should have known this would happen, but I'm way worse today with the cold.
I have not been around Shea.
old
Just
is
if
he?
anybody's
We can try a phoner. We can try a phoner, or we can punt. I said, we're doing a phoner, bro. And then he didn't respond. I said, but it's up to you. If you're not feeling it, we can punt.
How old is he? Call it a cold.
30.
You gotta be
early 30s.
You gotta be
Or
sick.
right at 30.
I agree.
Yeah.
Sick. I want to hear sick, not a cold. I don't want to hear a scratchy throat.
No.
Sytia Messer, who is the newly named coach with the LSU women's program. She spent the last 8 seasons
Unbelievable.
at Baylor and has been alongside Coach Kim Mulkey, has seen Coach Mulkey work over at Baylor, been a part of a national championship squad, #1 recruiting classes, and will stop by here as she was newly named the same role and title as the associate head coach with LSU women's program and Coach Mulkey. She'll be here at 8 a.m. The chef will be here at 8:30. If you were looking for food questions, if you have any, make sure and get them inside of the bunker, the chat app right now. Tons of discussion on this LSU opening, and what's going to happen now is it looks like Kevin O'Sullivan is out. And
Why is he out? Do we know? I mean, it's all the controversy.
yeah,
Most likely.
there's a lot of
lot of
mess.
smoke.
There's
Just
just
a
a
very
lot of
Is that the reason?
mess
Very-
on Kevin O'Sullivan.
Kudos to Florida for keeping that all under wraps for a very long time because I knew none of it. I'm sure they did it their little small circles, but
Well, I mean, look, it just happened.
yeah,
I mean, really, it all kind of happened within the last 3 weeks, or at least the tragic part of the story, which lit the fuse of, opening and seeing what else was out there.
it's like a TV show.
It is. It is very. It's very dramatic.
Ozarks.
It's very
Lifetime.
dramatic. It takes sad twist. It takes dangerous twist. I mean, it's something that right now, LSU, no matter the coaching level and style, doesn't want any a part of. It just.
It's a good decision.
I think that the Board of Supervisors looked at this as, not a baseball decision. If it was a baseball decision, it was simple.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin O'Sullivan was the guy. He wanted the job. LSU wanted him for points of this courtship, if it is in fact over. But at the finish line, it just fell apart. There was just too much baggage that you had to carry across the line from LSU's administration standpoint that they couldn't get it sold in front of the Board of Supervisors because of where LSU is presently at and where they're trying to get out of. The stigma, the feeling, the public relation setbacks, all of that is what went in. If in fact this is over officially, is something that I was continuously hearing over the last couple of days, that it was tough to hurdle for the LSU administration, and it makes a lot of sense, man.
There are several people in the bunker that don't seem to know.
He's got a messy divorce. He's going through a messy divorce. And then there was a Florida booster who was going through a divorce of his own, where it seemingly was Kevin O'Sullivan and the booster, the booster's wife, who were caught in an extramarital affair. That booster, sadly, took his life and his two sons' life with a text message back to the wife of, blaming her and her mistress. I don't know what you'd call him in that situation, but
Mr.
And that was a lot of smoke around Kevin O'Sullivan.
It's pretty huge.
There was also some reports of that not being the first time that he was caught up in some off the field stuff in that type of arena, in that type of discussion. And it's a dark.
How did he do it?
Story.
Do we know?
What?
How did he kill himself and his kids?
I don't know that.
That's crazy.
I know that they found him, the three of them, and this is all published in Gainesville media that you can go read and is reported on. And I don't want to get caught up in this stuff. This
Right.
is a very, very awkward, delicate,
Yeah.
fragile. I'm just telling you the facts of what I've read and the stuff that is surrounding Kevin O'Sullivan that I've heard. And like I said, you can read this story online, but they found the three of them in a burning house. But I think that they were deceased before they were caught up in the flames. So look, man,
awful.
it's not a good story. And like I said, I think if it was a baseball decision, it was easy. But where LSU is now, and some of the stuff surrounding that, LSU has looked like the board of directors have rejected that proposal from the athletic administration. And where do they go now? If you're asking me, I think this weekend for Joey Vitello would be an interview, really and truly. If you're LSU's administration, for me, that's who I would go get a young guy that you could invest in. Where else is he going to go? If you want to be a college baseball coach and you've got the opportunity to coach LSU at how, I mean,
42.
He's 42 years old. I mean, he could be here for 25 years potentially. Realistically, if you're making this decision, you would look at Vitello and say, why would he leave? If he keeps his health, if he wins, and he continues to do what it looks like he's doing, I mean, it's hard to win baseball games in Knoxville.
And he's got Knoxville wrapped around his finger. Boy, he's going into the stands, high-fiving people.
I love it.
I love it, too, but I don't know how much he's in love with Knoxville or he's just playing the game, and he is doing it to an absolute T if that's what he's doing, because Knoxville will be pissed if he leaves because they think that he's the one. They're throwing the house at him. They're offering new facilities, new contract, all the things to get him to stay. But if Baton Rouge comes calling, that's the job. That's the job from everything that I remember LSU baseball being. I'm sure he thinks the same of it. It's like that's the crown jewel of getting a baseball job in college baseball.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is. I mean, I can't imagine. I think I called him Joey, another Italian name. He's Tony. Tony Vitello.
Tony, Joey, Vitello. Hey.
Sorry. But I think that to me is a little bit of a change in pace. Look, I get what Cliff Godwin brings: stability, organization, guy that's done it and won it and has seen it at a high level and has built a really good program at East Carolina. Pat Casey at Oregon State doesn't feel like a right fit. I mean, he's older. I believe he's plus 60. I mean, what do you get out of Casey? Maybe 8 years? Maybe.
How old is Godwin?
I think he's 50s. You know what I mean?
They're already purple and gold, right?
Yeah.
Makes tons of sense.
East Carolina. Look, I know that Bianco is an LSU guy and that he's done it in the SEC, but that doesn't feel right either. That doesn't feel like the right fit. I think you need somebody in here that is ready to infuse some life into the giant, the monster that is LSU baseball.
And that's would you say that's Woodward's style? He usually goes and gets a proven guy. Doesn't need, like, isn't that kind of his MO is to go out and get somebody that's done it before, throw a bunch of money at him because he's proven and you really can't do it wrong that way. But I just think, I don't want to retread necessarily. I think LSU needs a whole new tire. Like, get this thing rolling again in just a different way because it feels, as much fun as this regional has been, everything at the box and with the COVID and all that stuff, it feels a little stale here. Like, doesn't it feel a little bit like when you look around all of the other SEC games, all the other SEC parks, you feel that life and you feel this energy of, like, it's a young man's game almost at this point, and that's where college sports is trending. But that's kind of why I want that. It just needs to, like, Alex Box needs a shot of life. Yeah. LSU baseball needs a shot of life a little bit.
For sure.
I agree. Hub International Insurance brings you the Jordy Culotta Show. They're also the official insurance agency of the New Orleans Saints, New Orleans Pelicans. Get in touch with them, hubinternational.com. When we come back, we will talk to Sytia Messer, who is the new named LSU women's associate head basketball coach alongside Kim Mulkey. We'll talk to Coach Messer, hear about the challenges of getting the Tigers into a competitive mode here in year one and some of the players that they're bringing over from Waco with them as they get here to Baton Rouge. Coach Messer next here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Remember, daily, we are brought to you by Nevadis. Let Nevadis redesign your mobile web app. Let them redesign your website, and you can learn all about it at Nevadis.com. That's Novateus.com. Tell Randall Knockman and the crew that you heard it right here on the Jordy Culotta Show. We'll be back with Coach Sytia Messer in 1 minute here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Are you self-employed? Then you need to learn about Angel Oak's Home Loans Bank Statement program that they're offering, which makes you eligible as a self-employed borrower to purchase or refinance a home without requiring a tax return. If you want to learn more, get in touch with me. Email me, jordy@jordyculotta.show.com, to learn about the bank statement loan program offered by Angel Oak. jordy@jordyculotta.show.com to learn more. Gearing up for spring and summer down here in South Louisiana, and you want to keep your lawn maintained during these sunny seasons, get in touch with our friend Blake Abear over at Abear's Lawn Maintenance, where he says, you grow it, I mow it. 225-485-8022. 225-485-8022 is where you can find Abear's Lawn and Maintenance, the official lawn and maintenance company of the undisclosed location. Geaux Chevrolet is proud to announce Go Express Auto Sales, the new used car lot located in the capital city of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Go Express Auto Sales is online at goexpressautosales.com, or you can search them on Facebook and social media at Go Express Auto Sales, the newest addition to the family of Geaux Chevrolet. Remember, Geaux Chevrolet is located down in LaPlace, Louisiana, but now welcoming aboard Go Express, the new used car lot located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana at 11522 Florida Boulevard.
Seven, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
Welcome back in here to the Jordy Culotta Show, live and presented daily by Geaux Chevrolet. Check them out online, GEAUX Chevrolet.com. Tell Lee Carney and Nick Richard you heard it right here on the Jordy Culotta Show. They officially drive and power us every single day. We were talking about Scott Woodward and this LSU baseball opening at the head coaching spot. Huge hire for Woodward, but he's always passed the test. It seemed like when there has been a vacancy, no matter where he has been, University of Washington, Texas A&M, and even here at LSU, where he passed the first test with flying colors as the LSU women's head basketball coaching job opened up, and he just went out and got the best coach in America, Kim Mulkey, who was just named to a Naismith Hall of Fame. And we saw the instant impact of Mulkey and her arriving in Baton Rouge as a couple of players, Hannah Gusters and, of course, Moon Urson, who we talked to last week, followed her. And now she's bringing aboard a huge piece of her success. And it was named yesterday, and we are so thankful to be welcoming in to the conversation Coach Sytia Messer, who is a former head coach in her own right, but has spent the last 8 seasons as the associate head coach over at Baylor and working alongside Coach Mulkey. In those 8 years, they've got 8 Big 12 championships and a natty. Welcome to Baton Rouge, Coach. It is great to have you on. Congratulations.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you, Jordy and everyone. I am super, super excited to be part of LSU's family. This is great. This is amazing.
Well, it is great to have, obviously, Coach Mulkey back home first, but we knew she was going to surround herself with the best, whether it be players and whether it be staff. And I know that you have been alongside her for this run at Baylor for the last 8 seasons. What are the challenges that you all face, first and foremost, to getting LSU pointed in that direction of success? Not to have that type of success that y'all were experiencing at such a high level in Waco, but just get the program pointed in that direction.
Well, I think the biggest challenge is, number one, we have to complete our staff because we want to go out and compete. We want to go out and compete with the best. And in my opinion, the SEC is the best conference in the nation. And we want to go out and compete at a high level. So we got to have to complete our staff. I think we have to continue to develop the players that we have. We have a great group of young ladies that the previous staff did an amazing job with. And we want to continue to develop those guys. And then we got to go out and get us some players. You know, we, as you mentioned earlier, we know what it takes to win a natty. That's what we like to call our little baby.
Yes, indeed. Absolutely.
That's our little daughter. We all have a picture of her in our house. So we have to go out and recruit a certain type of player, a player that can handle wanting to be challenged, wanting to put academics first and win championships. And it's 3 things we based all our recruiting on. That's character, academics, and basketball. You have those 3 things, you have a great shot of coming and playing for us and helping us get to that natty. But those, in my opinion, are the 3 most important things. That is completing the staff, continue to build our players that we have here, and go out and get the best.
We are talking to Sytia Messer, who is now the associate head coach at LSU, as she was named to that spot by Coach Kim Mulkey officially yesterday. I'd imagine that you had known this was coming. You played in the SEC at Arkansas. You were a head coach at Tennessee Tech. You have been overseeing recruiting for Coach Mulkey since you arrived in Waco, and in that time, you have brought in number 1 class and big player after big player. What is your method to recruiting and the strategy when you are now in the SEC? Does it change at all in how you approach the recruiting trail?
My first method is say a prayer before I walk in the gym. I set up a prayer, but no, it is, I do my homework. I think July is a huge month. Unfortunately, with COVID last year, we were not able to go out and recruit and see kids face to face. But I do a great job of evaluating players and then going from there and trying to fit them in our system. And as I mentioned earlier, those three things that I look for, and that's character, academics, and basketball. And so we go from there. And we've been fortunate. We were fortunate in the past because Mulkey and I have a great partnership. I mean, we signed everything from number 1 players to top 50 players. And they end up being very productive in our system. So it's just being able to identify that player that will work well for what we're doing.
Does Louisiana have a reputation of producing good women's basketball talent? Excuse my ignorance, but when you look at just the landscape of the state, I mean, we are known for producing high-end athletes in big-time sports. Where does that lie in your eyes in women's basketball?
Well, I think it does. It really does. I don't think it's consistent like, 5 at a time.
Sure.
Or anything, but there are great players that come through Louisiana. We were fortunate at Baylor to grab 2 of them, and that's Kalani Brown was right in.
We got one back.
Yeah, right. Yeah. To hire y'all to get one.
That is funny. Yeah, so I do think, Kalani Brown is the number 1 post player in the country coming out of high school. And again, it goes back. Moon wasn't as highly recruited because she didn't play on the AAU circuit, but it goes back to being able to see that level, that talent, even though they're not highly recruited. But the thing that got me with Moon is a funny story. So Kalani Brown's mother calls me and was like, "You have to come see this kid, Dexterham. You got to." Yeah. And I was like, okay. Well, when I go see Kalani, I'll just tie it in. Oh, wow. And I go and watch Moon in practice, and she's dunking a tennis ball, and she's 5'7". And I was like, I don't care if she can't shoot with those hops.
We can figure it out.
Right.
We'll figure it out.
That's right. That's so good.
We will figure it out.
Coach, you've had a front row seat at this, and she was just presented to the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame, which is probably going to go down as the best, most decorated, just best night at the Hall of Fame when you just look at the scope of who went in and her being a part of that night. But what makes Coach Mulkey a Hall of Famer? What makes her as great as she is, having the point of view that you've been sitting for the last 8 years?
Well, having a front row seat, I think the number one thing is Coach Mulkey has 100% graduation rate. Mm-hmm. I mean, you just sit back and you think about that, 100%. If you completed 4 years with her, you graduated. So her graduation rate is 100%. And I think the second thing is with us, when it comes to preparation, we don't take off any less for a Grambling State versus South Carolina. Mm-hmm. We're going to go out and we're going to prep and we're going to practice as if we're playing in South Carolina and Connecticut every night. And I think those things people don't realize. She really don't take days off when it comes to practicing, the preparation for a game, and holding players accountable. And most of all, being able to love on them and making them believe that they could go to a next level. She is the best at it. Her motivation skill is second to none.
We have seen Moon play and seen how dominant she was for you all over in Waco. Can you give us some insight on Hannah and just how good and potentially how great she could be? I know she was very highly regarded coming out of high school.
Yes. I think Hannah has not touched the surface of a player that she could become. Because at Baylor, we had so many post players in front of her, she really had to wait her turn being a freshman. But again, as you said, she was highly decorated out of high school. It actually came down to us in Connecticut between her choices of school. So this kid is a great, great player. We just she just didn't get as much of an opportunity at Baylor because of the players that were in front of her. But we expect big things from Hannah. Hannah can face up and shoot. She can play with her back to the basket. She tracks down shots to block. I think she's going to be a big, big surprise to the SEC. we just got to keep her healthy, keep her focused, and she's going to be a great addition to our team.
When Coach Mulkey got the call to come to LSU, how quickly did you start looking around Baton Rouge and trying to find maybe a house or something, maybe something to hop on Zillow?
Well, when she got the call, the first thing I thought about was, oh, it's great food there. Oh, my God.
Give her a day to celebrate.
Yeah. And then I thought, oh, football is great, too, so let's do this. Yeah, I became quickly like, okay, Coach, we can do this. And it's been great. You know, I knew that I wanted to be a part of what she was doing and those kind of things, and be with Coach. Coach and I have a great relationship. We trust each other. We challenge each other. We tell each other, you know, the truth, and sometimes the truth hurts. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, we both love each other. So I definitely wanted to be a part of her staff and what she's building.
Welcome to South Louisiana, Coach Messer. It is great to have you aboard as South Louisiana and the entire state are chomping at the bit to support what y'all have going on with the women's basketball program. Like I told you coming in, Coach Mulkey and you all have the keys to the city. Enjoy it.
Thank you. Hey, Coach Mulkey wanted me to ask you one thing.
Uh-oh. Go ahead.
You probably already know where this is leading to, but hey, have you brought your season tickets yet?
Yes. For God's sake, send back to her. I have bought mine. I am now bullying everybody to buy theirs. I'm a spokesman for her. I'm pushing it at everybody. But I can promise you this, Coach, it is not going to be a tough sell because the community and our town, the LSU women basketball, they are there. I mean, I was a part of 12,000 people watching Simone go up against Tennessee and Coach Summit that Sunday afternoon, and everybody supporting the program when she was here. With the energy and everything that you all are selling, we're behind you. We'll be there. I can promise you can let her know they will be there.
Thank you. And I am excited. Thank you guys for giving us the keys, and we're excited and we appreciate it and looking forward to getting this thing sorted.
Yes, ma'am. We'll be in touch. We'll do this again soon. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yes, ma'am. There is Coach Sytia Messer joining us here on the Jordy Culotta on the Jordy Culotta show as we are brought to you daily by Geaux Chevrolet, online GEAUX Chevrolet.com. Remember, you can get in touch with them online as always, and daily we are brought to you by RMB Builders, Rhett Bourgeois and the crew over there at rmb-builders.com. rmb-builders.com is where you can get in touch with Rhett and his crew, rmb-builders.com. They can help you out with a custom-made home. They can help you out with a commercial project if you need anything done around the house, or they can help you out with just a total reconstruction. Get in touch with them, rmb-builders, rmb-builders.com for more information. We'll be back. I believe Shea is going to try to do this phoner where we can do a little 10-minute segment here with him, see how he feels. We will call him here shortly when we come back here on the Jordy Culotta Show presented by Geaux Chevrolet. Are you self-employed? Then you need to learn about Angel Oak's Home Loans Bank Statement program that they're offering, which makes you eligible as a self-employed borrower to purchase or refinance a home without requiring a tax return. If you want to learn more, get in touch with me. Email me, jordy@jordyculotta.com, to learn about the bank statement loan program offered by Angel Oak. jordy@jordyculotta.com to learn more. Gearing up for spring and summer down here in South Louisiana, and you want to keep your lawn maintained during these sunny seasons, get in touch with our friend Blake Abear over at Abear's Lawn Maintenance, where he says, you grow it, I mow it. 225-485-8022. 225-485-8022 is where you can find Abear's Lawn and Maintenance, the official lawn and maintenance company of the undisclosed location. Go Chevrolet is proud to announce Go Express Auto Sales, the new used car lot located in the capital city of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Go Express Auto Sales is online at goexpressautosales.com, or you can search them on Facebook and social media at Go Express Auto Sales, the newest addition to the family of Go Chevrolet. Remember, Go Chevrolet is located down in Laplace, Louisiana, but now welcoming aboard Go Express, the new used car lot located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, presented by Go Chevrolet. Every single day here, get them online at GEAUXChevrolet.com. Remember, we were talking recruiting. It's been a huge week for recruiting, man. And Shea Dixon was...
Nearly killed him.
Yes, it did. Checking in on our boy as he's okay, giving us 10 minutes here. Thank you, bro. Pushing through. How are you?
Well, I'm doing well. I was in Denver and Boulder for about a week, enjoying some nice 60 to 65 degree weather. Came back here yesterday, I guess Monday, and felt like I had a little head cold. I checked midday yesterday. The weather was 89. Feels like 102. Degrees. Yeah, felt like 102. I said, "Oh my god!" But I'm back. I'm here on the phone.
Sticky hot, bro. Welcome back home. I can only imagine I love the summertime in Colorado.
There's nothing better.
It is so green.
So green.
Red Rock.
Oh, Red Rocks. That's a different kind of sticky there.
Who'd you see?
Cool. Saw Motet, which I'd actually seen before in New Orleans, but I would have seen anybody. It could have been a movie playing on that night. I'd never been to Red Rock, so when everybody was actually down to go on the Friday night, we locked in the tickets. Yes, as Lloyd so eloquently noted, a different type of sticky. I'll tell you this, all of the concert, festival, party goers did not die off with COVID. I saw them. They're back.
It kills it.
Like cockroaches, that community.
Yes.
Just give us a crack.
They breathed in worse things than COVID,
Just a little bit of
you.
sunlight. We'll be there.
Yeah, nitrous kills all of that.
Shea, a little bit of recruiting. The Le'Veon Moss. Let's start there before we talk about LSU and all of the participants and the visitors and the offers and everything that went out. Le'Veon Moss committed to Alabama over the weekend. He's a 4-star running back out of Estruma right here in Baton Rouge and is a top target for Kevin Falk and LSU. What do you make of that commitment, and what does that do for the rest of this ride?
I'm not overly shocked by it. He was a kid. Moss has been a kid who's kept pretty quiet, doesn't say a ton about his recruitment one way or the other. And he was at LSU right out of the gates last Wednesday. So that would have been the second. Had a visit, got to hang out with Falk and all them, but then made his official visit up to Alabama this past weekend. And they pressed him to commit and obviously want to make a little bit of splash in Louisiana and Baton Rouge as best they can. He's a good player. But I think that between kind of their push and then the feeling on, his camp side of, okay, this might be a good fit for you, getting out of the city, ultimately, we'll see. Look, I'm not surprised at all that he committed to Bama. Does he stick? I don't know. This is going to be such a weird recruiting process given last week we've now had 8 days where coaches can even see kids face to face. So I think we're in for a lot of twists and turns. But for LSU, there's a bit of pivoting going on, and everyone sort of does it as, these dominoes fall. But they also had Trevante Citizen, who is a top 10, 12 ranked running back in the country on campus this past week. He's at Lake Charles College Prep. And while there are some guys around Baton Rouge, I like Marlon Gunn out at Scotlandville. A name to keep an eye on is Kamari Alston. He was Damari Alston. He was in town this past weekend on an official visit. He's out of Atlanta, Georgia. They recruit that area well. And he's a running back in that 5'10", 5'11", 205 range as a junior. If they can go away, you want two, right? And normally each class you're taking two running backs. You want Citizen or Moss. And getting both you always knew from the start might be a little tough. It seems right now with Moss going to Bama that Citizen training to LSU certainly makes a bit more sense. And then Kevin Falk has sort of circled Alston as another guy he really likes. So I think, again, this can go so many different ways given that coaches are finally able to see kids. But my guess, very far out from signing day, is that the running backs might be Alston out of Atlanta, and then they're going to do what they can to lock up Lake Charles' best running back in Trevante Citizen.
The camp over the weekend had a who's who in Baton Rouge, especially some of these high-end guys that are already committed to the class. What has been the feedback? I know that you weren't able to make it, but what has been the feedback from your point of view of having these on-campus camps and some of the immediate return that has shown for teams like LSU?
Yeah, from talking to Sonny and you guys did, he was out there all weekend, and then talking to some folks around LSU. There's a lot of great takeaways, right? They got every commitment that was, on board, and it was on campus at some point over the past week. That's a good goal to have. All your official visitors showed up, even 3 of them being offensive linemen, which was sort of an inopportune time to happen, even though Brad Davis from Arkansas was able to be down here this past weekend in a sort of non-official capacity, but just observing the camp. And he got to see Will Campbell, 5-star left tackle, who is an absolute beast. He held himself up really well. And you get Bo Borderline on campus, you get Walker Howard, all these different guys. But at the end of the day, like if I'm circling, and this would be no doubt because this was an opinion shared by everyone, you want to pick an MVP on each side of the ball. It was on offense, Jake Johnson, the tight end out of Georgia, who's obviously the brother of Max Johnson. We have him ranked as the number 1 tight end in the country. So it's not a surprise to hear, he showed up and he looked good. Nobody could hold him. He linebackers, corners, safeties. He was catching everything. Walker Howard was trying to build that early rapport with him, and evidently they looked great together. So Jake Johnson on offense and tight end, boy, what a need for them right now, especially knowing Gilbert's not coming back. You got to wait a year, but after that, Jake Johnson's, he's going to come in ready to go. The other one's right here. We've talked about him on your show plenty, but Madison Prep's Quincy Wiggins, everybody said, that's a 5-star. Don't know what a 5-star looks like if that's not it. Right. And Orgeron loved it. He was out there coaching it up the whole time. And look, you're looking at a kid who a year ago, Coach Jones and the whole basketball team, they've got a squad at Madison Prep, right? They see a kid who the football coaches is 6'5.5", 265, super athletic. They say, hey, you basketball scholarships aren't rolling in like you thought they would. Put on some football pads. See what you can do.
Come for a week and see what happens.
Yeah, he played 1 year of football in the pandemic, so a shortened season where no coaches could even go see him. I think he's at 31 offers right now. He was the best player across the line at LSU's camp, no doubt. And, that's your ideal fit for the defense they want to run, is a D-end who's already in the 260 range, who has great size. He can rush a passer. He can play the run. He's a 3-down lineman, no doubt. I love where LSU stands. He said that nobody's recruiting him as heavily as LSU is. Orgeron, Andre Carter. He said Andre Carter's son hits him up, and he's in 5th grade. He said, hey, keeping an eye on you, big bro. See you next week at camp.
You want to play bad?
You in that purple gold yet or what?
Right. So they love him, and he's a guy who, trust me, Bama, everyone else will be on him, but I think the work done early on by LSU puts him in a good spot. He's good buddies with Emory Jones at Catholic and some other guys in this class. So I like where they stand early on, but great news there. This will be Mason Smith was a 5-star D lineman last cycle in Louisiana. I think we've got a shot now to see Wiggins reach that status. And anytime you can get look at that. Name the last time LSU had a 5-star. Louisiana had a 5-star left tackle and a 5-star D lineman in the same class. It's been a bit, so we might be trending that way.
What is the word on the streets of Brad Davis now at LSU coming from Arkansas and James Craig out?
Yeah, I mean, all these kids seem to say, bummer that Craig left, obviously, but they all know Brad Davis because he recruited him in Arkansas and handled a lot of the work that Pittman normally would have done, and now he's the head coach. So Arkansas recruits great O-linemen. Arkansas is one of the schools you think, it's Arkansas. They put their hat in the ring with every big O-lineman because they know that that's one thing they can sell. So Campbell, and look, they had Cam Dewberry and Kelvin Banks, a couple Texas offensive linemen, one of them being a 5-star, and Banks were in town this past weekend, and they all know Brad Davis. So from that regard, it's a big pull, right? Immediately he can hit the ground running, and he's already got relationships with all of your top targets. And people are going to ask, look, is it good or bad? I don't know. Even from a development standpoint and coaching standpoint, Craig had 3 full recruiting classes. Not one of those guys had ever started a game at LSU. So Marlon Martinez maybe started a game when someone was banged up last year, but we're still waiting on Bradford and some of these, Doomerville, and obviously Garrett Dellinger just gets here. So on that front, we don't even know yet. But beyond that, you look, guys, that 3 recruiting classes, and when you look at outside the state, I think he only signed 3 guys who were 4-stars that weren't from Louisiana. It would have been Doomerville, Dellinger, and there would be one more in that mix. I'm probably just missing somebody, but that's not a ton, and then no 5-stars. So I think recruiting-wise, Brad Davis probably gives them a leg up right out of the gate.
Would it be Xavier Hill?
Was he? I think he was a high 3-star.
Okay.
I don't know who I would be forgetting. No. Ray Parker was in state that first class, and Cardell was as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. So it's only a couple of guys. So we'll see. But I think recruiting-wise, Brad Davis helps you immediately because A, he does have the rapport with these kids, but B, it wasn't like, you compare it to other positions, they were not recruiting as well as offensive linemen as they were all the other positions. So almost by default, you're moving in the right direction.
Surprised to see a weekend like that come and go with no commitments?
Not really. And they handed out some new offers and all that. And there's a word of a silent that might have popped. And look, we'll see. Silence are always silent. That's it. Don't take it for much. And when a kid goes public and is willing for everybody to know, including the other schools in the mix, that's when it starts to count. But no, I'm not shocked. They handed out a bunch of new offers. They had already had a bunch of kids committed. In fact, you saw Lucas Taylor, one of their longtime commits, come to camp, get eval, and ultimately move on and say, hey, look, I think both sides said, hey, we can find a better fit. And he ended up at State. I would have been more surprised if there hadn't been not cuts, but, mutual parting of ways, ongoing evals, whatever you want to call it, because they have so many guys committed that you needed to almost take a step back before you could take a step forward.
Shea Dixon, Go247. Remember, online, you can follow him there, and on Twitter at Shea Dixon to keep up with all the recruiting latest. And it is a busy time of the year right now in recruiting. 2 of the faces that we saw over there were local kids here out of Baton Rouge, and Emory Jones and Shelton Sampson Jr. At a Catholic high school. Anything on the latest on the offensive lineman in Jones and Sampson the wideout?
Yeah, Jones was up at Arkansas this past weekend, which is obviously bad timing for them too because they just lost their O-line coach. So it is, right? Everybody faces it a little bit differently. But he was on campus in fact, the very first day. So that would have been Tuesday the 1st, and was with his mom and got to sit down with Coach O and all of that and talk over things. So I like where they sit there. I've always liked where they sat for Emory Jones. I just don't think you can pick some schools around Baton Rouge that teams have been able to pluck elite guys out of. Catholic hasn't been one of them. So I like where they sit there. And then you move into the next class with Sampson, who, he's got the lineage. His dad obviously played high school ball in the area and then college ball in the state. I like him a ton. And again, I'll double down on that one. There's not Devonta Smith might be the only type guy. There's not a ton of times LSU's missed receivers in Louisiana. They end up elsewhere, and they also don't go leaving the state for receivers a ton. And then they don't really have to. Deion Smith is probably who they traveled the farthest for in the last few years for a receiver, and he's the number 1 player in Mississippi and out of Jackson, which is not that far of a drive. So there's always so many receivers in Louisiana. You can just focus on those guys and ultimately lock them in. And they do a really good job of evaluating that spot. And to become, I think they were Sampson's very first offer, if not one of the first, and they had that Catholic High Pro Day, and he threw down some good testing times and measured in well. So they were in it from the start. They're not playing catch up. They've got Mickey Joseph. You've got Kevin Falk recruiting the area. He knows Coach O. I'd be a little surprised if both those guys don't wind up at LSU. I don't think for Sampson it'll be anytime soon, given he's still got 2 years left. But when all the dust settles on the Catholic kids, I think both of them wind up at LSU.
Derek Williams, 2023, at LSU earlier this week. This is a guy who played with Kayshon Boutte early in his career, but looks like another 5-star coming out of Westgate.
No doubt. And he was here this week already for a visit, and I think it was Monday he was here. But yeah, you mentioned, I think that, and they were his first offer. I know that for a fact. So he's now a composite 5-star. He's going to get the attention from schools all over the country. But again, I'll double back. When you're from New Iberia, it's tough for other people to come in there and just grab you. And we saw that with Boutte. I mean, Bama bent over backwards until signing day trying to get him, and now you see why. It was the real deal. You'll fight until the very end. I think Williams is that kind of player in the secondary. He's a safety for sure. But that early rapport with Corey Raymond and Raymond being from the area, and now having Durante Jones in as a safeties coach in D.C., all of that stuff puts LSU at a little bit of an advantage. And toss in Kayshon Boutte. I mean, think about that. When he comes in for visits or when he has his official visit, he's going to be laying around posted up with his old teammate in Kayshon Boutte, who's now the best player on the team. Yeah. So there's the reality that he can see, okay, there's a path for me at LSU. The coaches, the Wampus, or not Wampus Cats, what are they? That'd be Leesville. Oh, man, what is Westgate?
Are they the Vikings?
I thought they were Cats something. I don't know. It's early in the morning, boys. You don't need to be thinking that deep.
Colorado brain, dude.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. Head's fuzzy. But yeah, no, the coaches over there, Antoine and all of them, have been great to LSU. They've kept the door wide open through Boutte's recruitment and put him on Derek Williams early to be the first offer, and now getting into the driver's seat by kind of hosting him right away and things like that. So I like where they stand there. And look, over this next cycle and the one after that, which would be the one Derek Williams is in, safety is a huge need. I don't even think we have a safety committed right now. And we've already identified that as a team need, which they went and bulked up with Major Burns and a nice class. So I think it'll be paramount that they get him. And because of that, I think that they won't rest. They'll keep pushing until he's committed.
Westgate Tigers.
Oh, that's an easy call.
Tiger.
Yeah.
Yeah, my goodness. Just same old. Just stroll on over.
You mentioned safety being a need, and we had Julie Boudouin on, and she said that Jacoby Matthews may be the star of the 2022 class. Is he kind of flying under the radar a little bit for LSU?
I know it's tough for a 5-star to fly under the radar, but when you've got Walker Howard and Will Campbell up there at the top, it sort of dominates the conversation. It's a lot of fun to talk about a quarterback and a left tackle, which the state doesn't often produce at a super elite level like Howard and Campbell are. But yeah, I think that no doubt that he belongs in that conversation with those two. I think that Jacoby as well is a guy who he's played both sides of the ball in high school, but safety, linebacker, wherever you want to put him, he can be one of the best players on the field for you. So I wouldn't be. Well, I know like safety is not the most desired NFL draft position, and linebacker certainly would be more, but I won't be surprised at all if he's a first-round pick, and that's kind of why we have tabbed him as that top 30 range player, and as a composite 5-star, he's got it all: size, athleticism, he's got an understanding of the game, even more so now defensively, that he's played a year of quarterback. I mean, when Finley left, he moved in, and they moved back to that sort of Wildcat veer offense, and he did well there. So I like him. I think he's a total package type guy, and he's definitely the best defensive player they have committed.
Get healthy. Thank you for the time this morning. We will talk soon.
I just hit a mute and a blow my nose, and I think I got away with it. And we're in the clear, brother.
You did, brother.
We're in the clear.
That was very well done. That was very well done. Enjoy the day, man. We'll talk soon.
Okay, I'll come see y'all soon.
All right, man.
Yeah,
we don't believe you.
Yeah, at
see
all.
you later.
Man's a savvy media veteran with the mute and the nose blow.
The
mute works better than you think, but it always makes me nervous every time I hit it because I'm not, I don't know how phones necessarily work. So if I hit the mute button and something comes through, makes me nervous.
Willie Weathers, shout out to him for helping us out with the Westgate Tigers pool.
Yeah, should have known. I mean, gun to head, I'm just going to guess Tigers anywhere in Louisiana.
Yeah. I don't know if they are the traditional purple and gold Tiger, but I'm wrong about that too.
Are they?
I'm wrong about that too. They are all love purple and gold.
If it ain't broke, brother.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I agree. Jarvis Landry, Lutcher.
Yes.
They were the purple and gold Tigers. I mean, very easy transition for him as far as the uniform went. Which, by the way, I don't know if we confirmed this on the air, but Jag Besh is going to wear 80 this season.
Feels right.
It does feel right.
Kind of
Feels
that,
right.
especially for the position that they kind of have, this package that they have him in, maybe a little close to the line, kind of split out. Good look for him.
Yes, I agree. All right, we have now entered the realm that would be disrespectful on Chef. We're that late. We're 10 minutes late for his segment.
That was my fault.
No, it's not. It's all good. Let's see if I'm going to propose to the Chef that we punt until next week, just because I think that this is a little disrespectful of his time. He was
8:30.
Agreed to be here at 8:30, and now we're 10 minutes late. I mean, this interview wouldn't start till almost 12 minutes after it was supposed to. So we'll free up his day, come back, close it out, give more thoughts on this baseball opening, some more thoughts on recruiting, and get set up for this day as the NBA last night, playoffs in full swing. We'll catch you up on the games that happened last night and the game, one game on the docket for this evening. We'll catch it up and close it out here next on the Jordy Culotta Show, presented by Go Chevrolet every single day here. GeauxChevrolet.com. Are you self-employed? Then you need to learn about Angel Oak's Home Loans Bank Statement program that they're offering, which makes you eligible as a self-employed borrower to purchase or refinance a home without requiring a tax return. If you want to learn more, get in touch with me. Email me, Jordy@JordyCulottashow.com, to learn about the bank statement loan program offered by Angel Oak. Jordy@JordyCulottashow.com to learn more. Gearing up for spring and summer down here in South Louisiana, and you want to keep your lawn maintained during these sunny seasons, get in touch with our friend Blake Abear over at Abear's Lawn Maintenance, where he says, you grow it, I mow it. 225-485-8022. 225-485-8022 is where you can find Abear's Lawn and Maintenance, the official lawn and maintenance company of the undisclosed location. Go Chevrolet is proud to announce Go Express Auto Sales, the new used car lot located in the capital city of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Go Express Auto Sales is online at goexpressautosales.com, or you can search them on Facebook and social media at Go Express Auto Sales, the newest addition to the family of Go Chevrolet. Remember, Go Chevrolet is located down in LaPlace, Louisiana, but now welcoming aboard Go Express, the new used car lot located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Welcome back in here to the Jordy Culotta Show. All right, we're going to move next week to Chef Jean-Paul Bourgeois. Cool with it. He's home with his people down here in South Louisiana. Let him enjoy his time.
Seems like an early riser anyway, so it wasn't like we woke him up or he woke up just for this.
So we'll have him back on next week. Hopefully we can do something while he's home. And
That fried chicken, dude.
And see him. Yeah, that fried chicken. I have not forgot about that. Anytime you ask a chef what his 5-star play is, and he gives you fried chicken, and you're in South Louisiana, I mean, you almost got to do it.
That's like asking a baseball pitcher, what's your best pitch? He goes, fastball. And it's like, oh, Jesus Christ, how hard do you throw?
Let me see it. Show me. Prove it.
Prove it.
All right, good show today. We appreciate Shea Dixon stopping by. A lot of information jam-packed into that 15 minutes, including a thought on Le'Veon Moss and where LSU may turn now if that commitment sticks for Moss to Alabama and Nick Saban. Some of the choices that LSU has at running back that Kevin Falk and Ed Ogeron and the crew will be recruiting, as well as Quincy Wiggins, man. I mean, the story of Quincy Wiggins, and I will, again, give our guy Daryl Owens, who has thrown us a couple of favors here over the last couple of weeks, including setting us up with Brandon Jacobs on that interview after Jacobs attempted the comeback. We need to check in on that.
I was about to say the same thing.
We need to check in on that.
If he just started working out when we interviewed him 2 weeks ago, he's probably like at 8% body fat by now.
Yes.
He already looks great.
Wonder if the phone's ringing.
I would imagine so.
Let's see if we can't get it up.
I mean, he specifically shouted out the Giants. He needs to get, broaden your horizons a little bit, brother. Come on down to New Orleans.
But Daryl Owens, who is childhood friend with Jacobs and a longtime just hoop junkie, played at Georgetown, started on that Elite 8 team back in 2005, I believe. He was the one a couple of years ago that was working Wiggins out and was a part of the crew that was like, bro, put the pads on. I mean, like, you are a really good basketball player, like a solid stud basketball player, but you potentially could be a top 10 NFL pick if you play football.
Thinking draft now.
Yeah, right. I mean, like, when you're thinking of just long-term viability and creating a life, I mean, you could be a multi-millionaire just for the ability of you to go sack a guy with a football. I mean, like, bro, put your hand in the dirt and put a helmet on and go collect. And like Shea said, Wiggins played in a short, COVID-stricken high school football season where nobody was allowed to travel, nobody was allowed on campus. The grainy film doesn't find everybody. But now that this guy has, the 10 games under his belt and an off season to get around the country and talk to coaches and work out in front of position coaches and go on campus and go to camps, like Shea said, what does he have, 32 offers? And out of the 32, it's Alabama, LSU, Texas A&M, Georgia, Arkansas, Ole Miss. I mean, it's all of the big dogs. And he's right here in Baton Rouge, and it sounds like he is going to be another 5-star. I mean, when you watch him play, I mean, he was going up against Will Campbell. I mean, Campbell got him, but, I mean, Quincy Wiggins got Campbell.
Yo, dude, like Sonny Ship said, he says, it's the best I've ever seen. He's been doing it for 30 years. He's like, these are the best two I've ever seen go at it one-on-one.
Alpha Lion versus Alpha Lion.
They were at their throats, cuz.
Kings of the they were going at it, man. And just in helmets. I mean, it was worth the price of admission just in helmets in watching those two go at it. But Wiggins, I mean, he's going to be a 5-star. If he's not a 5-star, keep your rankings because, I mean, that's what they look like.
Yeah, that's what he said. It's like, well, if he's not a 5-star, then I don't know who is. And we might need to stop talking about him just so we can kind of keep a little secret to us. Keep him in the fold in Baton Rouge. Don't let the secret out. A little speakeasy.
Sure.
Keep him in town.
Absolutely. And that's
Secret's
out. That's a good thing. Yeah, but the secret is out on.
It's crazy is to be able to do that. He's played football for 1 year, and you go there and you're like, oh, I think I could do this. It seems relatively easy as opposed to playing basketball. Like, to have the athletic ability you have to be able to put your hand in the dirt and go play football for the first time ever and just be, oh, I probably could play in the NFL.
6'7", 270 runs like that, size and strength and speed. I mean, you just can't find that anywhere. And
get the quarterback.
A athleticism that he's one of those guys that Owens was telling me, he just doesn't even, he's 16 years old, but I mean, doesn't even have to stretch. You know what I mean?
Out here.
Roll out the car and run a 4.5.
Yeah, do it in tennis shoes.
You know what I mean? Roll the ball out there. He'll pick it up and just yam it behind his head. Just get up off the ground and just yak one.
Right, fresh off of lunch.
Grab a quarter off the top of the backboard type stuff.
Didn't know this stuff was hard.
Yeah, right. What do you want me to do? All right, so appreciate everybody for stopping by. This coaching search is going to get interesting at LSU. Obviously, we told you Schlossnagle agreed to terms with Texas A&M. It seems like the Board of Governors, the Board of Supervisors here at LSU, has denied the proposal of Kevin O'Sullivan as the next guy potentially as the coach for the Tigers. So where does Scott Woodward, where does this group of the search committee go as far as who is next for LSU? I said and put on record, if O'Sullivan's not the guy, and I thought O'Sullivan was going to be the guy, I have long said I thought that this was almost going to be a seamless type transition where you would see Florida season come to an end and him be asked about it and him say the company line, and then LSU season come to an end and it'd be very quick, almost like the Mulkey hire to replace Nicky Fargas as that just kind of opened up and it was done. It looks like this one is going to go into more of a search. Tony Vitello, who LSU is playing against this weekend at Tennessee, is the young, hot name in college baseball. When you look at what he has constructed in Knoxville, it is very much from the ground floor up. That is a baseball program that has been dormant. I think the last time that they were in the SEC championship game was 1984. They were in that game this season, and they were a top 16 seed, top 8 seed. And now I think that this is an interview for the most prestigious program in college baseball, or the Godzilla of the sport. The biggest job in college baseball is knocking on Tony Vitello's doorstep this weekend for him to give an on-field interview for potential 3 games. I don't know if he's on the top of the list. He's on the top of my list. And not just because he's Italian.
Paisan.
Not just because he is young. Not just because he's
Attractive.
invested. Yeah, he's a good-looking dude. But he is, in my opinion, what LSU needs right now. A total 180-degree turn from where they've been the last 30 years. And I know that there is a ton of success baked into those 30 years. But to go back and find that type of success, I think you got to do it a little bit different than what you've come from. And that what got you to that type of success level, because the game has changed. It's totally different. And a lot like we described with Jake Peets and DJ Mangus being much more comfortable in recruiting new age quarterbacks because they can talk the spread system because they don't know anything else. That's all they've coached. When they played, that's what they played. That's all they have talked. That's the terminology that they speak in. That's the formations that they recognize. That's who they are. And Tony Vitello is modern day college baseball. He is a 2021 version of what the game's competitive best look like and feel like. And that fits at LSU right now. I think that's the pulse. That's the injection of life that this LSU baseball program needs. It's not where you got to go out and reconfigure the entire wheel. I mean, this roster is loaded. The facilities are as high a level as you will find. While we have been critical of Alec Box Stadium, and the presentation needs an upgrade, right? The overall experience feels a little corporate. But when you get down into the bowels of it and you start looking around the locker room and the batting cages and the weight room, that's MLB quality stuff. I mean, it's Major League Baseball level on the accommodations that are offered to these players. And we can go back and forth on the game day experience of the box, and I think that it needs a shot. It needs some type of student interactive space like we've seen at Duty Noble and Swayze Field at Ole Miss and Mississippi State, respectively, where it's a true home field environment every game. And LSU has the support for that. But a guy like Vitello could re-energize that. in my opinion, very quickly, very immediate. And
it's a bit like bringing Will Wade in.
Yes.
And if you haven't seen Vitello coach, if you watch him this weekend, I would be surprised if he might rub some people the wrong way. He's very much challenging the old guard and how coaches kind of, I don't want to say he disrespects the game, but he lets his players all hang out there. He lets everybody kind of do their own thing, like they're very much into the celebrations. He's pumping people up. He'll jaw back and forth with players coaches and players on the field. He lets the stadium kind of do whatever it wants. And that's the kind of thing that I think LSU needs. But don't be surprised if LSU fans come away from this weekend, if it doesn't go the right way, for Tiger fans to be like, he might be enemy number one after this if he doesn't take the job.
Yeah. I mean, look, man, Vitello's coaching for a trip to Omaha in college baseball. I mean, this cat is, if you have seen him, you know the type of personality you're going to get from him this weekend.
He's Italian.
Yeah. And, I mean, he is confident. And he is, he's playing for the biggest spot in his career. I mean, he's never been here. I mean, he's never had this opportunity.
But he coaches very much like a player.
Yes.
Like it's a player's coach for sure, and he's with the guys. Like, he's one of the boys. Like, they're confident going with him and, like, shooting the shit with him. You can tell that he's got those guys playing exactly – they take it on his personality almost.
Yes. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Like I said, I believe that Scott Woodward is the type of leader and decision maker that when a decision like this is on his table, is on his desk, he had been thinking about this for months. I think that he's got a list, and he is just working his way down. Now, is there potential for a guy like Vitello to move his way up the list because of the production that he has put down over the last couple of weeks and months to kind of make him relevant? We'll see. I mean, from my point of view, that makes the most sense. I've seen Pat Casey's name. I've seen Cliff Godwin's name, and I'm not here to discount any of those guys, but the 62-year-old Pat Casey and the Cliff Godwin who has been here under Mainieri in the ways that it's been done before, to me, just don't make the best sense. I'm not here to tell you that it's the wrong decision, because I don't know enough about the sport and those guys individually of how they really run their programs. And just by being up for this job or mentioned for this job shows the reputation and the feeling around those names in college baseball. But you got to get this one right, man. You got to get this one right, because you can't be reconvening in 3 to 5 years wondering who's going to be next. And if Pat Casey's 62 years old, whether he's successful or not, you're going to have that decision in 5 years. You're going to have that discussion in 5 to 6 years. You know what I mean? At 62 years old in Baton Rouge coaching college baseball, that'll age you quick. I mean, it's not Corvallis in Oregon State where, a bunch of hippies will show up to the game on a Friday or Saturday just to pass the time and not really care who won or lost.
Didn't even know the game was being played. Stumbled in,
right?
Waiting for the doors to open to the bar.
And he's done a tremendous job up there. I mean, he's run a great program, but I mean, it's a different animal. It's a totally different.
You saw it at the regional. You saw it at the regional last weekend. How different it is when an SEC team comes to your stadium. Like, look at how the Oregon regional looked, and look at how the Mississippi State regional looked. Look at how the Arkansas regional looked. That place, it looked like the College World Series. Yeah. There was fans. There's probably 20,000 people there, as opposed to Oregon, where you could count individual seats of people that weren't in them. So the pressure cooker is real. And like you said, bringing in another just older guy, it just seems like almost a Paul Mainieri retread. And if you think back at the past 3 to 5 years, it's not like people were exactly excited that he was still here. It seems like if you go by fan thought, they want a new injection of life. They want a new style into LSU and with LSU baseball.
Yes, I agree. Because I think that is the feeling around it. Thanks to everybody for being involved. Thanks for the interaction. Remember, online at Geaux Chevrolet, GEAUX Chevrolet.com. You can find them there. You can shop them here in Baton Rouge at the used car lot over on Florida Boulevard in Sherwood Forest, or the brand new car lot out in Laplace, Louisiana. Stop in and see them. Tell them you heard it here on the Jordy Culotta Show, as they bring you our show and our content every single day, and we are grateful for that. Make sure you like and share and comment on all of the content, and let people know where we are. We appreciate that very much. Enjoy this pretty Wednesday. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning at 7 a.m.